Limitations Quiz for the R44. What is the V&E speed over 2,200 pounds for an R44? 120 knots. What is the V&E speed for an R44 under 2,200 pounds? 130 knots. What is the never exceed speed for an auto rotation? 100 knots. What is the maximum speed above maximum continuous power? 100 knots. What is the maximum speed with any combination of cabin doors removed? 100 knots. What is the maximum rotor speed limit for power off? 108%. What is the minimum power on rotor speed limit? 101% unless training for emergency procedures. What is the maximum power on rotor speed limit? 102%. What is the minimum power off rotor speed limit? 90%. What is the maximum continuous engine speed? 102%. What is the maximum transient engine speed? 105%. What is the maximum cylinder head temperature? 500 degrees Fahrenheit. What is the maximum oil temperature? 245 degrees Fahrenheit. What is the minimum idle oil pressure? 25 psi. What is the minimum oil pressure during flight? 55 psi. What is the maximum oil pressure during flight? 95 psi. What is the maximum oil pressure during startup and warm-up? 115 psi. What is the minimum oil quantity for takeoff? 7 quarts. What is the Robinson 44's maximum gross weight? 2,400 pounds. What is the minimum gross weight? 1,600 pounds. What is the maximum weight per seat, including baggage? 300 pounds. What is the maximum weight allowed in any baggage compartment? 50 pounds. Can the R44 be flown with a governor selected off? No, unless it's used for emergency procedure training. What is the maximum operational altitude above ground? 9,000 feet. That allows 5 minutes to descend in case of fire. What is the maximum operating density altitude? 14,000 feet. What operational equipment must be on board and working before dispatch? An alternator, a governor, low rotor RPM warning system, outside air temperature gauge, and hydraulic control. How much fuel can the auxiliary fuel tank hold? 17.2 US gallons. What is the fuel capacity for the main tank? 30.5 US gallons. What is the combined fuel tank capacity? 47.7 gallons. How much usable fuel can be stored in the main tank? 29.5 US gallons. That's 1 gallon less than the total capacity. How much usable fuel can the auxiliary tank hold? 17 gallons. That's 0.2 of a gallon less than its total capacity. What is the combined usable capacity for both tanks? 46.5 US gallons. What is the maximum speed allowable while flying in turbulent air? 110 knots. What is the maximum continuous power at 2,000 feet pressure altitude with an outside air temperature of 10 degrees? 23.4 inches. What is the maximum takeoff power? 25 inches. What is the maximum continuous power at 3,000 foot pressure altitude and negative 15 degrees outside air temperature? 'Taking the average of all applicable numbers, 22.5 inches. What is the maximum takeoff power for that time? 24.1 inches. What is the never exceed speed for a pressure altitude of 6,000 feet at 0 degrees Celsius? 122 knots. What if the aircraft weighs more than 2,200 pounds? 112 knots. During autorotation, what is the maximum speed? 92 knots. During autorotation at more than 2,200 pounds, what is the maximum speed? 82 knots. What is the never exceed speed for a pressure altitude of 10,000 feet and outside air temperature of 30 degrees? 85 knots indicated airspeed. What if the aircraft weighed more than 2,200 pounds? 75 knots. And during an autorotation? 55 knots. What is the maximum autorotation speed over 2,200 pounds? 45 knots. I wouldn't want to be flying in that helicopter. Is aerobatic flight allowed in an R44? No. Abrupt control inputs may produce high fatigue stress and cause catastrophic failure of a critical component. Are low-G pushovers allowed? No, but should a right roll commence during low-G conditions, apply gentle aft cyclic to reload the rotor before applying lateral cyclic to stop the roll. If icing has recently been reported, is flight allowed? No. Flight into known icing conditions is prohibited. If the pilot is not an instructor, are they allowed to fly from the left seat? No. Does the forward left seat need to be buckled? Yes. What is the maximum operational speed with any combination of cabin doors removed? 100 knots. When flying in Class G airspace, must the headset be worn by the pilot? Yes. Functioning headset must be worn by each pilot. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.